Hello YouTube, what's going on? I'm sure you've read the title of the video and that's probably why you clicked on it, so we're not going to waste time with introductions. What I have sitting here is a 1994 Toyota Corolla DX with the 1.8. The other day, on my way home, there's a cute little puppy. You're gonna need some puppies if you work on this car. Preferably two, just because it makes it more adorable. But got some creepy looking people driving up the road. Anyway, I was coming home the other day. Noticed my car started running warmer and warmer and warmer, and then it got to the point where I was afraid for the car to damage was going to be had, so I shut the car off and coasted it home. I was not far in this downhill. But the water pump was my culprit, and the puppies think it's fun. The water pump was my culprit, what I believe, because after I got home and I popped the hood, I was out of water, and I've had a mild water leak for a little while. I did not know where it was coming from, and I didn't really notice anything getting on the ground. That's the timing cover, the middle piece. It broke when I was trying to put it back on, but it'll be fine without it. And anyway, turns out it was leaking from my water pump. I guess the bearing or something went bad in it, and because it's weird to turn and notchy feeling. Anyway, it gushed it all out on the ground, as you can see by the puddle. So for, I think it was almost $50 at my local O'Reilly's. I picked up a brand new water pump. And there's some creeper going up and down the road. He's done gone up this street 4 fucking times now. Your water pump. And is this camera gonna refocus? Yes, no, maybe so. Is that shiny thing right there? There are 2 pulleys on the shiny thing right there, and let's see if I can get a work light to make this come out better. Okay, let's see if this helps. And yes, it does. Much better. Now there's your water pump. It's a single pulley, but it's got 2 different sets of grooves in it. One of those, this bigger belt right here, runs back across to your alternator and then down to your crank. This little belt on the corner that you see, tucked closer to the engine block, runs your power steering pump. Now, to get your water pump off, it's not very easy. What you're going to have to do is, remove this washer fluid box. Take that bolt out there, there's 2 plugs on the bottom, get it out of your way. Next, take this motor mount off. Undo all these little bolts, all these stupid little Phillips heads, this piece is one piece, it'll come off. Then you take out this corner bolt over here, and this bracket covering the coolant lines or AC lines come off. You take these 3 bolts out, and then you loosen this, but not the bottom. This piece is connected. That bolt and that bolt are connected, nothing else is. Alright, now you're going to want to get a car jack like I've got here, put a piece of wood on it, and put it up underneath your oil pan. Put it on the oil pan and jack it up till it tries to pull the motor up just a hair. And then when it does, you can take out the 2 bolts that are there, and then there's one down there. You take those out, and then on this bracket right here on the underside, closest to the belt, you've got 2 more bolts. Take those out, and then the motor mount will lift out. The AC lines are going to be in your way the entire time. If the AC doesn't work in your car, I hate to say it, just get rid of it. it's going to make life so much simpler. Unless you plan on putting AC back on the car, like tomorrow, then there's no point in keeping it there. It is just going to do nothing but get in your way. Unfortunately, kind of, my AC works great, so I didn't want to just undo all the lines. So next you're going to want to undo this little bolt right here to get this wiring harness out of your way. There's a little plastic clip right here which holds these two wires together. You're going to take those off. And then to get the belt off of your power steering, loosen that bolt right there. I think it's a half. Take it all the way out. Grab your power steering pump by this steel line right here, and then just pull it towards the motor. And it's going to move forward. You're going to pull the belt off, and then you can take this again with your hand and push this all the way back up against the firewall to have more leverage. The engine oil dipstick has to come out too. You have to remove that little, I think that's a 10 or 12 millimeter bolt. Remove that and just turn the dipstick up out of your way. The alternator, loosen. This lighting is off. I apologize. I'm trying my best. I've had so many people request videos on this car. It's stupid, so I'm trying to do what I can. This right here, loosen this bolt right here, and then way down in that cubby hole, you may or may not even can see it. Yeah, you can see it right there. There's another little 12 or 13 millimeter bolt. You just back that out. That'll loosen your alternator up. You can pull this belt off and then pull it off the crane. Pull all the belts off and you're getting close. Next, you're going to want to undo the timing covers. If your valve cover gasket is good, try doing it without removing the valve cover gasket. Otherwise, when you pull the valve cover gasket or pull the valve cover off, you're going to have to replace the valve cover gasket unless you've got one of the very nice silicone rubber type valve cover gaskets, which I have, but it was a pain to see it on here the first time, and I didn't feel like fighting with it again. I actually left my valve cover on and just pulled and wiggled the crap until I got these little rubber or plastic casings off. Like I said earlier, I didn't get that center one back in down there, but I honestly really don't care. Also, you're going to remove this bracket. You're going to remove this bracket right here. This bracket is just part of the back of the power steering pump to hold it, to support it. To get the plastic casing off, there's little 10 millimeter bolts way down in yonder that y'all probably, oh, you might can see it. Look at that, it focused right there. Pull those off. Once you have all that off, you're going to see the timing belt. Now, if you go to a shop and ask them about it, they're going to tell you that you can't get this piece off. That you can't get the water pump off without taking the timing belt off. Well, just like they told me I had to replace the water pump when I did the timing belt, I didn't. I figured out another way around it. You can get the bolt out, or you can get the water pump off without removing the timing belt. Not the simplest way, but considering that I just replaced the timing belt less than 2 months ago, I felt no reason to take the belt off again, and it's a pain, so I just left it. Another thing is, if you're doing the timing belt in one of these cars, go ahead and do the water pump. I was stingy at the time and didn't care, but this water pump lasted me a couple more months and saved me that $50 for a little while. So if you can get around it, then go for it. Otherwise, I would just go ahead and replace both of them at the same time. It is the easiest. You have to take the water pump off in two pieces. There's a front plate and a backing plate. And then there's a hose, which you can see right there. You can see the little clip to it. Take the hose off, and that's for the backing plate. Pull all that apart. And then, trying to think what else I did. Oh yeah, then you can actually jack the motor up a lot. Because when it's sitting in here at regular height, here's a side shot. You can see it's about flush with the car. But if you jack it up, you can actually bring this motor up another 5 to 6 inches. Bring it way up here. It'll put a little bit of strain on your mounts, but not that bad. And that's going to give you a whole lot more access to this pulley. Now once you take all this off, you can get to the bolts that hold the pulley itself on. Take those out, but the pulley still won't come out. That's going to have to come out once the whole thing's out, but you can't get the whole thing out without taking the pulley bolts loose, because there's a bolt behind the pulley that you can't get to unless the pulley's free to move. Another good way to help is to jack up your car if you have jack stands, pull this tire off, and take out that cover piece right here, the little plastic protector. What are you doing? You take that big plastic cover off, and that's going to give you a little bit more wiggle room to get back up underneath there. Let's see. It came with this. I'm sure that's been replaced at one point in its life, that water pump. But the gasket that was in there was a metal type, almost like an aluminum, cheap metal one. I used paper gasket. Don't say anything. I don't even want to hear it. I used paper gasket. And I had it here somewhere. RTV silicone. Whatever it is, I don't know. The silicone. The blue. Get the blue one. You gotta have the blue one. Blue RTV or RV or RTV, VT, something, silicone. Just the blue one. Gasket maker. And put the crap on one side of it. Put the gasket on. And then soak the ever-living crap out of it. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's even some leaking out. It's perfect. It should seal up great. And you're all said and done. You should be back on the road before too long. Like I said, I'm sorry this wasn't the most informational thing. I planned on videotaping while I was doing it, but I got started late and had to get through it quickly. This is not a job I'd recommend for just an everyday mechanic, or not everyday mechanic, but just someone who doesn't have a vast knowledge of cars. Because it's not as simple as it seems. Because if you're taking the bolts out behind the timing cover, and let's say somehow or another you slip up and undo the tensioner, or knock the belt off the gear, you potentially could throw the car out of time and then not realize it. Put everything back on there thinking, okay, well, it'll be fine, it's just the belt, and then go to crank it, and then pistons hit valves, your motor's toast. It's just a lot of precaution that you need to take when doing this. This is the first one I've done on this particular car, and it took me 2.5, 3 hours. But it was real dark outside, and I was running to the parts store between. But once again, I got it done. So next thing is replacing the radiator. If anyone wants to see the radiator being replaced, I'll do that too. Because that's not that hard, but I've got to do it. There's a crack in it. I might even try to patch the crack before I replace it, but I'll probably end up just replacing it. Alright guys, thanks for watching.